Hey guys, welcome back to the Friday Vlog, where we discuss activity that goes on here with the BuzWeaver channel. That includes things like current events, headlines that are in the news, pop culture, social media, technology, and items of interest that come up during the week that allow us to have a little bit of a dialogue. I want to thank all of you guys across New Tech as well as here on YouTube for all of your guys' continued support.
We start things off really kind of from everywhere. As of this recording, it is Thursday, so the news is breaking. But here on the BuzWeaver channel, if this is your first time here, welcome. What we do here on the BuzWeaver channel is we take the difficult, we take the complicated, we take the tumult, we take the confusion. Yes, I like to mention all those because it reminds me of our good friend Rush Limbaugh, who I wish was still here because this would be something he would be able to clearly outline, exemplify the framing, outline the injustice that's happening, the political persecution, and just the judicial impropriety of it all. Just absolutely outstanding. And of course, as you know, the reason this had to happen and the reason that Merchan and the establishment and the Democrats needed a guilty verdict is so that they could splash the headlines across the world with the news. And it's amazing because I'm already getting comments in several of my other social medias, some positive, some elated that this happened, you know, some encouraging that this was just a minor setback, as we talk about here on the BuzWeaver channel. These are all roadblocks that they put in front of Donald Trump that isn't necessarily going to harm him. And I know Tim Pool said that he donated the maximum amount of money to Donald Trump that he could give. But you can see here, this is what they wanted. Can Trump come to Canada now that he's a convicted felon? Can Donald Trump vote for himself now that he's a convicted felon? Can Donald Trump vote for himself now that he's a convicted felon? Trump could still vote for himself after New York conviction if he's not in prison on Election Day. Imagine that. Imagine the brain power it takes for someone to figure that out. Donald Trump would be able to vote for himself if he wasn't in prison. Donald Trump could still vote for himself after New York conviction if he's not in prison, of course. Can Trump come to Canada? It's absolutely extraordinary. This is what they were waiting for. They were waiting for the big pylon. They're waiting for the big pylon. And we're going to get into some of these topics here because, for example, I don't recall who it was on Fox News made a very, or I think it was Newt Gingrich. I think it was our former from here in Georgia, our former I can't remember his title now. Just went right out of my head. But Newt Gingrich, Speaker of the House, said that if they can go after a billionaire like Donald Trump, who has resources and money and connections and power and a former president, if they can go after Donald Trump, they can go after everyone like Roger Stone, like Alex Jones, like and many of the people that they have gone after, Steve Bannon, just the people that they go after. It's just absolutely extraordinary. But here we have arrived at this, I would say the apex of this situation. We have reached the plateau of this situation. If the American people cannot see the persecution that Donald Trump is going through, I don't know what more to say. And as Newt Gingrich said, if they can go after Donald Trump, what's stopping them from going after any U.S. citizen? And this is the biggest problem. Our institutions have been hijacked. Our culture has been hijacked. Everything within our system has been infected by leftism, by wokeism, by cancel culture, by ideology, philosophies, and worldviews that have been adopted by the progressive left. It is absolutely extraordinary, and here we are. Donald Trump became the first former American president to be convicted of felony crimes Thursday as a New York juror found him guilty on all 34 counts in a scheme to illegally influence the 2016 election through a hush money payment to a porn actor who said the two had engaged in adult activity, which was not the cause, right? Alvin Bragg said that this was going to be raised from a misdemeanor to a felony because of potential campaign finance violations. So they can't even tell you what the accurate information is. It's absolutely extraordinary. Trump sat stone-faced while the verdict was read as cheering from the street below could be heard in the hallway on the courthouse 15th floor, where the decision was revealed after more than 9 hours of deliberation. So this reminds me a lot, reminiscent of the O.J. Simpson trial. It's absolutely extraordinary. Donald Trump's conviction on 34 felony counts marks the end of the former president's historic hush money trial. Wow. Oh, it ends it. No, it never ends it. It's not going to end here. But the fight over the case is far from over. Exactly. He can appeal. When is Donald Trump's sentencing date? The judge has set the former president's sentencing for July 11th, just days before the Republicans are set to select him as a 2024 nominee. What a coincidence. That is such a coincidence. Trump's voting eligibility. He may be convicted of a felony and reside in Florida, but he can still vote as long as he stays out of prison in New York State. Very much what we've already said. But people aren't paying attention to the details. I'm sorry. It's not happening. The left needed this guilty verdict so that they could say, see, Donald Trump is a criminal. That's all they needed. They needed the undecided voters. They needed the politically unenthusiastic. They needed the people that were dismissive about the whole thing to only know that Donald Trump was accused of a crime and he's a criminal. This was a rigged, disgraceful trial, and angry Trump told reporters after leaving the courtroom. I totally agree with him because we have gone over the fact that Judge Merchan said that it did not have to be there didn't have to be a unanimous decision, that individuals could decide. That's not how our juries work. If the jury can't decide individually, then it's a hung jury. But he allowed it to happen, which is unprecedented. It's the first time I think I have ever heard this. I've spent 5 years in law. This is the first time I have ever heard of such a thing. Now, I know this happens in Europe. I know this happens in the UK. We covered that when we were doing Tommy Robinson, where if the judge doesn't like an outcome from the jury, then the judge can decide in certain parameters, I think, within certain rules and regulations and laws. But ultimately, as in Europe, if they want an outcome, like in Russia and in North Korea and in China, if they want an outcome, they will get that outcome. And this was the outcome. And any legal person who's going to school in law right now, a paralegal, a legal assistant, a secretary, not to be disrespectful in any way, a secretary working for a law office is going to know this is an absolute sham, is going to know that this is absolutely unbelievable. And, of course, we have from the post-millennial, President Trump vows to fight after rigged NYC verdict. The real verdict is going to be November 5th. I agree with him. It's going to be up to the people. Trump, this was a rigged, disgraceful trial. The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people. I totally agree with him. It will be. I would play the audio for you, but we got a lot to cover here. Then, of course, the post-millennial here. Juror finds President Trump guilty on all counts in Alvin Bragg's business records case, which is not surprising. And then we have Inner City Press, who couldn't wait to post all this. How say you to count 3? Guilty 4, guilty 5, guilty 6, guilty 7, guilty 8, guilty 34, guilty. And so the judge was going to accept any of it, which is anyone who is curious about law in the United States is now witnessing how courts normally do not operate. In other words, this would be the opposite of what our court system is designed to do. So if you're a paralegal, if you're even a law student, if you're even thinking about being an assistant in some form of legal company or business or industry, these are the basic things that they teach you. And it's not this. It's not that a judge can make a decision based upon what one or a particular juror says. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's just unreal. Here's Trump's response. Maybe we can watch a little bit of it here.
This was a disgrace. This was a rigged trial by a conflicted judge who was corrupt. It's a rigged trial, a disgrace. They wouldn't give us a venue change. We were at 5% or 6% in this district, in this area. This was a rigged, disgraceful trial. The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people. And they know what happened here, and everybody knows what happened here. You have a Soros-backed DA and the whole thing. We didn't do a thing wrong. I'm a very innocent man, and it's okay.
Shameful. Absolutely shameful. And I want to reiterate what Newt Gingrich said. If they can do this to Donald Trump, nobody in this country has any sort of a chance if they want to go after you. They don't. You just don't. It's not happening. And then top stories from around the country. Here's all the various U.S. media groups, of course, with all their headlines, who couldn't wait to put all this out. They probably already had it pre-prepped. They probably already had all this stuff written out. And then even from the BBC News from the UK, we have several of these articles here, and I picked one of them. Can Trump run for president as a convicted felon? Of course, we know that he can. Yes, the United States Constitution sets out relatively few eligibility requirements for president candidates. You must be 35, of course, born a natural U.S. citizen, and have lived in the U.S. for at least 14 years. There's no rules blocking candidates with criminal records. So, as we've talked about, it's really to get in the headlines from the Daily Mail UK. Some people may scoff because the Daily Mail, I believe, by definition, is a tabloid. But Donald Trump trial verdict, Stormy Daniels reacts to ex-president's conviction. I'm not concerned about how she reacts, but Donald Trump's 34 felony counts bar him from having certain rights. Well, technically it does, but it's not going to impede anything at this particular time. But again, think about it. If you were just a regular person having to experience this, you're just a regular citizen having issues with, say, the IRS or other issues, you just have no chance. Like the Bundy Ranch. We covered the Bundy Ranch where the federal agents went in to try to take his land from him. And it was a standoff. I mean, it was a gun-to-gun, sniper-to-sniper, ammo-to-ammo, tit-for-tat, back and forth between the Bundys and the ranchers that live in the area and the federal government. It was absolutely outrageous. Sky News, Donald Trump found guilty in hush money case, becoming first ex-president to be criminally convicted, of course. It is the first because they needed something to happen. They needed to construct something to happen, and so it did happen. And this is out of Sky News, also UK, and then we are out of Australia. Then we have Canada, Donald Trump guilty on all counts in hush money trial, of course. 12 jurors found former U.S. President Donald Trump guilty on all counts. The jury convicted Trump of falsifying business records, which they never actually could prove. Trump 77 sat expressionless as jurors were polled. This was a rigged, disgraceful trial, as we just heard there. So this is out of Canada. I don't think we got the answer to whether or not he could go to Canada. I don't know why he would go there anyway, to be totally honest. Trump will not be jailed after sentencing as his motorcade left the courthouse. Of course, he was released on his own recognizance because it wasn't about even putting him in jail. It was about getting these headlines out right now that he was found guilty on all 34 counts. Thursday, he gave a thumbs up from the tinted windows of the SUV, of course. Appeal likely, yep. The jurors emerged from their deliberations Thursday to announce they had reached a verdict at 4:20. By 5:07, Trump had been convicted on all counts. Judge Juan Merchan, who's a despicable human being, asked lawyers for both sides whether they had final comments. He wouldn't even allow them comments when the prosecution was speaking the other day. If they wanted to raise an objection, he would just shout them down. And, of course, that would create all kinds of issues with the jurors. And I feel bad for the jurors. I mean, maybe this allows them to not be persecuted by anyone on the left, Antifa, Black Bloc, BLM, or any of the cancel culture groups and organizations and special interest groups, activists, lobbies, and all these people. Maybe they won't go after them. They were hedging their bets against whether they wanted to stand up against the left persecution versus anything they could face from, say, the conservatives or from the right. It's absolutely extraordinary. And then from the Jerusalem Post, out of Jerusalem, New York jury finds Trump guilty. Now, I wasn't able to find much news on some of the other organizations because it's, as of this recording, it's 8:50 p.m. Eastern time. And so there in the UK and stuff, it's 3 and 4 in the morning. And then, of course, in other parts of the world, it's just now 6 or 7 in the morning. So absolutely extraordinary. Love to give your thoughts and comments down below. What do you think? Have we reached the apex? Have we reached the pinnacle? Have we reached the top of the limits of what the Establishment Uni-party can do? What more can they do to Donald Trump is got to be the question. What more can they do? I want to thank all you guys across New Tech. You've been amazing. Thank you for the likes, the shares, and the comments. You're always welcome to share. And, of course, to everyone here on YouTube. And, of course, below these videos, you can find the various social media links that I belong to. You can follow me there and see my daily post on there, as well as some of my affiliate marketing links down there. So if you have Amazon Prime or use Amazon with levels of frequency, all those are down there as well. And, of course, all of your guys' support is always greatly appreciated. And that's what I had for you guys this Friday.
All right, guys, so that's going to wrap it up for this Friday vlog. Thank you for the likes, the shares, and the comments. Below this video, you can find the various social media links that I belong to, as well as affiliate links. You guys go down there, take advantage of that. It does help out the channel. But I do want to thank all of you guys across New Tech, and, of course, everyone here on YouTube for your guys' continued support. The likes, the shares, and the comments, all those things help out the channel. And it has been a very productive 2024. So I want to thank all of you guys across New Tech, as well as here on YouTube. And, of course, appearing there on the screen, that would be the channel icon you guys can click on to subscribe, as well as to select notifications. That way you'll know when there's content here on the channel. And I'll see all you guys behind the Galaxy phone camera next week.